first time that this has happened, because even during his previous presidency, he was very much, involved in South Africa's affairs when it comes to the so-called farm murders and things like that. So what this tells us is that Trump is a very low information president, very low information individual. He acts on impulse, and we know that AfriForum has gone to Washington, D.C. to obviously peddle this information and lies to Elon, and Elon has obviously whispered that to Trump. And the DA too is not entirely absent here, because we know that they align with Israel and they've been instrumental as well in peddling these lies. And it's basically a propaganda campaign. And as it currently stands, I think the idea that Trump has about South Africa is that Mzungus in this country are this tiny little minority that is, marginalized and oppressed. They don't have access to opportunities and they're poor. That is what he currently believes. And that's what he's been led to believe. And like what Usutu was saying, what these people are consuming a lot of far-right, propaganda about DEI, and then trying to equate it to South Africa's, land redress issues, which is a constitutional process. It's not the same thing as DEI. So obviously, this is fueled by the expropriation bill, but they're blowing it out of control purposely in order to distort what is actually happening. But I think for me, an even more perplexing notion that drives this kind of action from Trump is there's always been this conspiracy theory of white erasure, where white people, not only in South Africa, but globally, because of globalization, they now see themselves as an endangered species that is on the brink of extinction. And, what is actually at stake here is white privilege rather than white people as a race. I think that cannot be overstated. And I think it is the case as well in South Africa. What they seek to protect is their privileged position. So basically, they would rather collapse this country's economy and stability if it means they have to be equal to blacks in terms of economic status. And that is a very, very dangerous position or vantage point that they're taking. So it's fueling all of those things. So I've looked into what has been a concern to me is what would be the repercussions of these, if the cut of the foreign aid, and which sectors would be affected. And I've come to learn, because I listened to Minister Mzwaledi's interview this morning when he was talking about PEPFAR, which PEPFAR, by the way, was started by a Republican president who was George Bush at the time in 2003. And it's basically a foreign aid fund that is meant to address things like the spread of HIV, TB, and other communicable diseases. And South Africa obviously receives a substantial portion due to our numbers here. Therefore, it's not every sector that's going to be severely affected. It's mostly the health sector, I think, because the minister also stated that, we fund 90% of we buy 90% of our ARVs, for example, through our fiscus, and then the rest of the amount comes from this foreign aid. So out of the 52 districts that we have in the country, only 27 districts rely on this aid. So those are the ones that are likely to be affected, because you're talking about nurses, data capturers, clinical associates, pharmacists, and things like that. So the real question then is, should South Africa then should we turn to our BRICS partners to source this alternative aid, because as far as I'm concerned, it hasn't been finalized, because we know that Minister was invited by the US Embassy in South Africa today to have a meeting to discuss those Trump directives even further. So I'm not sure yet what has transpired out of that, but I think we have two options at this point. Is one, to look for foreign aid elsewhere from our BRICS partners, or to actually capacitate our industry so that we don't have to even rely on aid. But from what I've gathered, it's not going to be as substantial. It's not going to affect us as hard as it would the other African countries.
Sigma, sorry, just to quickly chip in. Yeah, we do have CIPLA in South Africa. There is supplying generic antiretrovirals at much cheaper prices to the government. I think the only thing we need right now is to actually just deport illegal immigrants that are already collapsing our already overstretched healthcare system. But in terms of access to treatment, is not going to be an issue. And it's a known fact that Zimbabweans, they would attend 5 to 6 clinics on the same name to collect treatment, to go back, to take back home and sell it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And just not only in terms of our healthcare system that is overstretched, this is true for many sectors like schools, for example. This is even just basic things like our electricity consumption and water.
ARV exporter? I thought we export ARV. I think.
I don't know what you mean, but what I know is this PEPFAR fund is basically like a stokvel. South Africa also contributes towards the fund. Many countries do. But yeah, I mean, just generally speaking, even just in terms of the consumption of our state resources are overstretched, and things like schools and what have you. So, but I really wish we could get to a point where we capacitate our industries and deport the aliens so that we can have enough capacity domestically, so that we don't have to look for foreign aid and keep on begging everybody for stuff like Nigeria and these other, shithole countries.
Have been given a proxy in Donald Trump. Let me tell you that the fact that he wants to take over Greenland, imagine. He wants Denmark to sell an entire island to US, and he wants to take over Panama. Imagine the English channel, guys. And then,
one of the reason why he's doing that, you need to understand, America is actually in debt. The reason of Panama and all those, it's usually it's just thinking, those are perhaps it's thinking because America, as we speak, there is under $1 trillion in debts,
Yeah, but it's in their own.
They've been overprinting the US.
What do you mean it's in their current? What
it's are you saying? It's in their own currency, so it's not a problem. It's not a problem.
It is a problem. What do you mean it's not a problem? It's
not a problem because it's in their own currency. It would have been a problem with loaning rents and whatnot to another nation.
Simple.
Like what? Like us, we owe.
It's quite
That's not how economy works, bro.
No,
that's not how economy works.
That's not how economies work.
Let's get out of that. Let's get out of that. I'm lying, you know more. My point is, America has the firepower.
I'm not doing more. I'm just saying that it does not matter whether if a country is
there is advantage that they print US dollars and that US dollars is
okay. If you don't pay back your Federal Reserve, what are the consequences?
Change the fact that if their balance of trade
the thing is if a country prints a lot of money.
Guys, can you not all take it once, please?
And if the country print a lot of money, brother, because you are saying it's because of their currency, it's actually devaluing currency. I mean dollar. So the dollar's
does the dollar look devalued right now? Look at the dollar
So that
versus
is
the
why
rand
you
right
have
now.
seen the likes of Zimbabwe have done it. That's why they are the same.
Look at the dollar versus the rand
likes
and the
of
Zim dollar right now, guys. Come on, man. What are we talking
Zim
about?
dollar does not
Yes.
exist
The
anymore.
theory only works if your currency is not a reserve currency. The American dollar is not like a fucking rand. It's a reserve
But
currency.
in the
Meaning when
latest
they
data,
export,
my
when they
brother, there's been
print more,
dumping of US
send it-
dollar as reserve by many countries, and there are signs that at some point this thing will reach a crash course. And those are the
talking
things
points. It's just talking points to make you
it's
happy.
not talking points.
At
It's
the end of
reality
the
that
day, the dollar. Look at
dollars have
its
been
price
dumped
today.
by many
Okay.
reserve banks of the world. By the way, they're starting
Since
to
the
dump the
Ukraine
US
war.
dollar because they are worried that it's getting riskier to hold it as reserves. And some are even taking up your cryptocurrencies as reserves to actually what do you call it, to diversify reserves so that they can counter the risks that are associated with dollar.
Yeah, but what is Ramaphosa
There's
doing?
no
What is Cyril
commodity that's
doing?
gonna replace
He's
the
doing
dollar.
the right
We're
thing.
interested in
Ramaphosa,
Cyril. We don't care
support
about China.
Ramaphosa.
What
He's
do you
doing the
know?
right thing addressing the issue of land in South Africa. We've had that thing for years. I think other people may speak. Sorry. I want us to be realistic. Yes, these issues are very complex. They are not. You can't oversimplify them. There are nuances to them. I think we must have a conversation to say this is where we stand. For me, I stand with the president. We are a country that is independent, that must be respected. That's it. We're a constitutional democracy. Anyone, yes, will attack us. But I mean, Trump is doing that to everyone, not just South Africa, even the allies of US. Canada right now has put 100% tariffs on Tesla, by the way. But that's
I wanted CK to explain because
They've actually
CK, I actually want you to explain.
Hold on, Ontario, Manitoba, and many other, and Quebec, many other provinces of Canada have actually instructed all retail publicly to tell them that they have 21 days to get rid of all American products, and there will be tariffs imposed on them. They will not be so that they can look into local. They said they're gonna match whatever Trump is doing, guys. And if you guys are gonna support a genocidal person who is actually advocating for ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians, he's saying they must be taken as refugees in in Egypt and in Jordan, and leave their homes, their land, and give it to the invaders. I mean, seriously, guys, we have...
I mean, a lot of countries... Hi, everyone.
CK, I just wanted to...
Guys, can you please allow Sigma? He's been here for a while and he hasn't submitted. Can you please allow him to submit?
Thank you, host. I'll be super brief. I hope everybody's good. Yeah, I mean, you can see a lot of countries are actually clapping back on that front when it comes to tariffs. I mean, Mexico has done it, Canada, China, and I think a lot of countries will follow suit because Trump is obviously trying to assert his dominance and maintain the global US superstructure that it currently is as a superpower. But I think, it's interesting when Trump says in the statements he made to say a certain class of people is treated very badly and terrible things are happening to them. And he does not go on to substantiate in what ways. In fact, the journalist asked him,
South Africa as a country is strategically positioned in a space where it's not that easy to say you can sanction South Africa, right? Because we will frustrate your roots. I mean, much access to the East, it comes through us. It comes via us because it's complex to navigate through your Pacific Ocean to the other side, all the way. Still, proximity to the East comes through us, especially in the southern region, in the southern hemisphere. So South Africa really is strategic for not only for Africa, but for the route in itself, in the logistics and whatnot. And we are a custodian. I mean, we are a country that is ruled by the rule of law. I mean, we uphold the rule of law. We respect territories, international territories. We contribute to the world, by the way. So there are certain things that that are essential to their economies that they can't get anywhere else except from South Africa. And it will be a nightmare to try and source elsewhere, because at least South Africa, when it comes to risk, it's at a better risk profile than other places where they would procure these things, right? Because there's smooth trading, and we adhere to the World Trade Organization, and all of that. So we as a country cannot just be sanctioned that easily. Over and above that, if you look at South Africa as an emerging economy, our stock exchange is one of the biggest in the world. They have their money here. They have investments in the country. If you look at the top 500 of the JSE, you will find that everyone, not just US. So the talks to sanction South Africa would be crazy, because I mean, if you look at mining companies, you can list the investors there. I mean, number one of them would be the Anglo. Why would then they say they do that to their own? It's not going to be that easy. And Donald Trump as a person likes to throw tantrums. His language is that of being like, what do you call it? He provokes, and then he leaves things, but he goes back and negotiate in the back end, and he knows what he's doing. And also, you might find that it's all PR. He wants to appear as dominant, and he wants to appease the guys that probably, like AfriForum probably gave some huge chunk of money towards Trump. So he wants to feel like, he wants to make them feel like he supports them. So there's that context, but at any given time, they are naive, especially white supremacists from South Africa. They're very naive to think that United States of America has their interest at heart. They don't care about anyone except Americans, and that's a fact. America will do anything to protect their own, to get what they want, and they can tramp on anyone to get what they want. If they want to hurt us, they wouldn't care about anyone. So that's why I find it very strange. But most of the people that are part of AfriForum, they're not that even learned, because now they found out when the rand took a knock. It took a knock a little bit by a few points after the news, right? But it went up again. It took a knock. But they now understood that, if it does that, then the feed that they import, feed and what else? Manure, fertilizers, all of that they import for their production, they become expensive. The things that are essentially to run farming, of which they are aligned to, they become very expensive. And then to allow yourself to be vulnerable in that fashion. Hence now they started backing down and saying only ANC leaders must be, must be targeted, of which it's impossible to target people that are not an economic bloc. ANC, who are you going to target? Because ANC people they're just in leadership. They don't own big shares in big companies or invested in America. How are you going to censure them? If you say that they should never set foot in America, they don't care about America. They can leave without ever thinking of going to America. So really, I find it strange that they would expose the country in such a manner without even thinking deep of the impact. Imagine who is going to be affected by AGOA if United States of America takes South Africa out of AGOA. Nothing is going to happen to the country, because we are a diverse economy. Even our exports are diverse, and the agricultural produce that we export, especially to the US, it's actually from the same people, the same AfriForum people. So there's no way that they will jeopardize that. But obviously, it's that kind of thinking. But I want to also point this: not every white South African is at that thing, and I've been following this thing. Majority of white South Africans are actually educated, and they are against what AfriForum is doing, and they're not even part of that, and they hate the fact that sometimes they act as if they are speaking for every white South African, and they hate what they've done, by the way. And those things are coming up. If you look at the people that are actually responding, even on Twitter, the actual people that are responding, it's the white South Africans, that those who are excited, obviously, that finally they feel like they are being heard, because they are against this transformation agenda that we have, this national agenda that we have of transforming this economy. They are against BEE. Obviously, we are talking triple BEE now. They're against that. They're against AA. They're against almost everything. They have actually listed about 141 laws. So, and I know that even Elon Musk is actually angry at the fact that he can't operate, his firm cannot operate in South Africa because he's refusing to comply with our requirements of 30% ownership within the country. The very same person that forced TikTok to comply with 50% in the US, by the way, before it got banned, and then they had to fold. But we can't do it. Why? So that's the mentality of thinking that they are the main character in the world. Everyone must just bow down to them, and that's a bad thing. So we have to think deep. There are nuances to this thing, guys. Even us borrowing from BRICS is actually another avenue. We are borrowing in rands, of which then now it costs us less. It actually gives us a leverage against forex losses when we are servicing our debt. So we are borrowing in rands in BRICS, and BRICS is here. It's not going anywhere, and it's actually helping us. Right now, China is diverting goods that are produced by American farmers. For instance, they've already started with corn. They are buying from South Africa the corn, diverting completely from United States of America. We are close to China, by the way, so costs of transportation are going to be less. So we also need to look at what is going to happen, because other people, I think they mentioned 690 billion US dollar worth of goods that they are diverting from US looking elsewhere to buy. Wow. And South Africa is going to benefit. So there's context to this, guys. Let's watch how it falls. And America is not at a better place to think that they are still that superpower they used to be before. Yes, they are a big military in the world. They have big military arsenal, and they have, if they decide to overthrow us, but they wouldn't be allowed by their own house, because people will debate this thing in the house. The president cannot just decide on wars anyway. But all I can say is that let's watch this, and let's not be extremists and fall for the talking points and virtual signaling by these white supremacists. That's
it's all. Fine. It's fine, Utolo. We will send them M23. It's fine. They can. No, but I wanted to add to what you said, because very quickly, host. Sorry, because I think it's important.
No problem.
Thank you. And I've been actually monitoring the sentiments on Twitter around this issue. And it's true what you're saying. Actually, a lot of intelligent white South Africans are not going with this. So there's a lot of polarization around this issue, because they realize now that, a lot of them own businesses in various industries, the same businesses that export, their goods to America, like wine farmers and things like that. And a lot of them are actually saying that, this is like misinformation and propaganda. Literally, they are saying on Twitter, we are not oppressed. Where is this coming from? And so the representative of AfriForum, I think his name is Ernst Root, the one who went to Washington to peddle these lies to Trump, has also now tweeted saying, no, we were not suggesting that the US should punish the whole country. We're saying they must punish the ANC officials.
Yes, I heard him.
Yeah, so they realize it's actually backfiring now. It's a very miscalculated rule, because when Trump imposes sanctions or whatever form of diplomatic punishment to South Africa, everybody is going to bear the brunt, including the supposedly oppressed whites. So they realized it was a very, very poorly calculated decision, and it's backfiring, and now they're backtracking, and they're facing a lot of animosity from their white counterparts in this country. So yeah.
What about it, and eventually get to what we want to do. But I mean, we are not changing systems, but eventually things need to be attended to. There is historical injustice that happened to us, and it needs to be attended to. I don't want AA to go away. I don't want EE to go away, because we're still facing the very same thing. Our companies are doing something to comply. They have to comply, and people can't be simplistic when we are dealing with systemic issues. We need to look to the root of this thing and not fall for the sound bites of these white supremacists.
That was what I was trying to say. Like, he's very combative, very competitive, and the fact that countries are starting to now wake up at the fact that, hey, we can work together to depend on each other, not on America. I mean, America is taking more. Let's just be honest, it's taking more from other countries. As much as, they're not really giving. What else are they giving? Just AIDS, right? So so that's it. I mean, resources, minerals, they take it from other people, and so
from us.
Exactly. So then,
we don't need them. We don't need these people. Why do they need us?
That basically. And I think, what, I saw Sigma, you said something along the lines that it's just PR. I don't think so. I don't believe it's just PR. I think that man would do anything, say anything to still
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but remember, he has said... Okay, you can go for it.
Thanks. I'm celebrating this guy. This guy is a good guy. Trump is just a good guy, the person we really needed. This guy is waking us up that, guys, you need to be independent.
Yeah.
Guys, with this, remember South Africa was doing so well when sanctions were placed on South Africa. We could establish SASOL, we could establish we even did our nuclear weapons and everything. And in fact, when we're talking about this thing that he puts 100%, he is already in breach of the contract of AGOA contract. That is, if he puts 100% on tariffs, it's a breach of contract. But in breach of this contract, it gives us an opportunity to even go out on certain things that we signed that were not favorable to us. And with this, it gives us an opportunity, and it gives the world an opportunity to look at where we can sell our things beside America. Because America has been... We were signing an AGOA because of it was now proven to be one of the largest consumers of our products. However, the question becomes who gets hit more. This thing of sanctioning individuals. We're not like Zimbabwe. You can say the guys are taking their monies to America or to Switzerland and all that. We're not like Nigeria. Guys are here. Our politicians are here. When Thabo Mbeki is taken out of presidency, he just still stays here. He doesn't go to Europe. So he spends his monies and everything here. We're not like all other countries, like the way they think that, if you sanction Zimbabwe, you have sanctioned Mugabe, so the whole country is going to suffer. And in addition, you look at basically who is exporting to America. It's the same white farmers. So remember, white farmers used to farm, as a farmer, you farm based on the demands.
Yes.
If South Africa needs more maize, you farm based on, now you farm maize. But if you have more orders in dollars, that we want avocados in dollars, then you start doing avocados. So then you cannot export avocados because now, I mean, if you increase tariffs do not hit us most. It hits only the consumers of America because of the guys who have already ordered those avocados. Then the costs are going to be double. Maybe you order the avocado for 10 rand. Now when it gets there, it's now 30 rand. So you can't do anything, but you transfer all the cost to the consumer. So the consumer is the one who suffers, and then at the end of the day, consumers they don't get much interested in products that are expensive. They avoid eating avocados. Then you don't order avocados anymore from South Africa. So the farmer in South Africa has to change his pattern of farming. He's gonna farm what maybe the Japanese want, or even things that can move locally. And what else is he putting tariffs on? What? Gold, diamond. What else? Because if now he's putting tariffs on gold that is coming to America, he must be clear. And we know sometimes I thought this guy is bluffing, but when he said, "Look, I'm canceling all the aids," I realized that every part of the guys who are working on it was cancelled immediately. All countries which were relying on this aid were crying. But South Africa, we never knew even that there's this aid on medicine. But on HIV medicine, Thabo Mbeki said it. And you know, when he was saying it, people were laughing at him. When he said, "Look, I don't have a problem with buying the ARVs. My problem is that they have patented it and they've made it expensive. Let them give us an opportunity and the rights to produce similar product." I don't know what they call it in medical.
I didn't know that they were patented. They were patented.
Yeah, they were patented and then made expensive, and they refused any other country to produce ARV. Thabo Mbeki said, "Look, this thing can be produced in India cheaper. And we can buy it from India cheaper. So remove the patent on it because of this thing is in demand. People are being unalived by this disease. Let's remove the patent on it." Yeah. They say, "No, you must buy it with the price that we give it to you, and nobody should produce it." And when Thabo Mbeki was insisting on it, they said, "No, okay, what we'll do, we'll do an US aid that will help you to get those ARVs." And that's how the aid started coming into the health sector for the ARVs. But if they remove the patent, then we can even produce them in South Africa. We can produce them in India.
We are already producing in the country and we export to other countries. We are actually the net exporter of ARVs.
And because of the patent was removed.
Yeah, we do have the generic one that is done here.
Yeah, anyway, we as South Africans, we don't know any sector. We didn't even know any sector that is operating or gaining from this American aid. It just happened now, and we just realized it's just only 7%. And the reality is that even these white corrupt Americans, they're using this as an excuse to steal money from America and Americans. This aid thing is a means to the corruption to get themselves rich. We're not like, in Uganda, half of the government's budget, the government employees are paid by this American aid. The politicians, their salaries are covered by the American aid.
Even Lesotho gets aid. Even Botswana gets aid.
Yeah, it's based on aid, on those aid. The politicians we're not like that.
They are run by foreign aid.
Yeah, so now we are more independent, and if he removes them, he gives us an opportunity to develop even much better, unreliant to anyone.
But with Aaron Motsoaledi, he's going to meet up with
makes us suffer. So yeah, if we Amali and Tuba we are waiting for them. We are ready. Aye. Aye, these people, they make us suffer, man. Aye. No, man, it's better for alu man. Uno twana, man. Aye. Narlapile kama khuanya na. Anabale, aye, these people, aye, guys. Aye. out there no more. Hey, but bad lapisha, guys. Aye. It's better no. There is nothing better than to fight. Let's go to fight. We'll see the results. So that
we are not yet at fighting, guys. Can I add something else?
Yes, Ukolo, go on.
Before we lose our train of thoughts here.
Ukolo, sorry, before you come in, Bantu, how sounded like I'm gank?
Almost, but not 100%. Yes, no, I think it's because the language, but we're from the same culture. That's why. Yes. Asie namar. I knew ho nongwala mo di commenting. That's why ne ke tsaya mo di commenting ho nongwala. No, asie.
Okay.
Ke be le khale ke mutlwi. Yes, Utpalo, you can go on, Patriot.
Yeah. So sorry about earlier on, guys. Like this thing.
And then that Prime Minister of Australia said they are refugees in Parliament. Okay, like honestly, I don't get what is the big deal. Like what? So I mean, but I just wanted to say that Trump got its bricks. He's mad at a lot of things.
Yeah,
he's mad at the fact
like
that
Israel.
Yes. And actually, we know that Trump is a white supremacist, so he will do if the white tea people are saying, oh yeah, we are being marginalized in this country, yeah, we are treated somehow, yeah, he's gonna go with it because he's a white supremacist. And the fact that BRICS is coming into formation, it doesn't really, he likes, that man Naki Munkanga, he's been involved with so many street fights. He's so combative, so competitive. He doesn't like losing.
I just want to comment.
Wait, Lil G, wait for your turn. Really, wait for your turn. There are other people who came before you on this panel. They have
no, Spongile, it's not race politics.